Welcome to the Globetrottin ADs. This podcast is for you, athletic directors, activity coordinators, coaches, and program associates based in international schools around the world. The Globetrottin ADs is proudly hosted by Nick DeForest from the American International School Vienna and Matt Fleming from the American International School of Budapest. Here they are now, Nick and Matt and the Globetrottin ADs.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Globetrottin ADs. Our guest this week is Jett Russell. Jett is the athletic director at ACS International School of Hillingdon in London, England. Today we have a variety of topics we're going to discuss, and a big one is the online festival his school organized to kind of deal with the COVID situation and still keeping students and families involved. So we're happy to have Jett here today. Welcome, Jett.
Thanks, Matt. It's a pleasure to be on. And it's I think what you guys are doing is great. I was thinking about it before coming on, and the AD community globally needs something like this. And it's great that you guys are just giving more validity and showing all the intricacies of the AD position. So it's just great to see it, and love the podcast and love what you guys are doing.
Cool. Thanks, Jett. Well, Matt gave us obviously your title in your school, but why don't you start with telling us a bit more about yourself and maybe how you got there, where you worked before?
Yeah, happy to. Originally from San Francisco, and grew up there, and then moved across the bridge into Marin County for my middle and high school years. Always involved heavily in sports as a young man, and wanted to continue on teaching and coaching in California originally. But once I finished all my education to become a PE teacher, quickly realized it's very competitive in California. So I was applying all over the state, and then ran into a friend of a friend in the left field bleachers of a Giants baseball game in San Francisco. And he said, "Hey, yeah, Steve, he's been out in Bali for a while, teaching PE and teaching English. Are you interested? There's a PE job opening." I said, "Absolutely." And 3 weeks later, I packed my bags, moved out of my place, and I was out. So the first gig was in Bali. Pretty cool place to for your first professional teaching job. It was at Mahatma Gandhi Taman Rama National Plus School in Denpasar, Bali. So did a year there, and as much as I wanted to stay, it just wasn't the right fit for me long term. Went back to California for a year, taught in a elementary public school. Also coached varsity girls basketball as an assistant coach at my old high school, which was pretty cool. When I got there, I think the girls hadn't won a game in 7 years or something like that. It was a crazy losing streak. But me joining the team, I'd like to say, gave them a little bit of a good luck charm, and they actually made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth and got in the playoffs. So that was pretty cool. After that, moved on to Norway. So I was actually really interested in going to Latin America. That was always kind of my dream for international school teaching, to learn Spanish fluently and go to Latin America somewhere. But ended up completely on the opposite side of the spectrum, and moved on to Stavanger, Norway, to the international school there, and got hired as a PE and health teacher. And then the AD job opened up the second year I was there, and it was perfect because I was actually pursuing a master's in athletic administration at the time, which the school paid for 60% of, which was incredible.
Through OU, Ohio U, or?
That was through Endicott College.
Okay.
So yeah, it was 2 summers in Switzerland, and the rest was done online. So it was, one of the best things I've ever done. 3 years there, and then was about to go back to California and pursue teaching and coaching. And then this job in London opened up at the last minute, and I've been here since 2014.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we used to see each other quite a bit. I think at meetings, our schools were in the same conference for a long time, but that changed last year, and a lot of schools left ISST, your school being one of them. And I'm really interested to see, hear what it's like in your school after leaving a conference you've been a part of for so long? Was there, what were the students like? What was the spirit of the school like after having to leave a conference?
Yeah, it's interesting the chain of events of how it went down. So in 2018, I took a career break for 6 months. So I had left work early for the summer at the end of April to go hike the Pacific Crest Trail. And when I was, I pretty much checked out. There was an interim AD here. Shout out to Bobbis at Cobham, who did a great job in my absence. But I checked in, I think 3.5, 4 months later, and all of a sudden the ISST is there's the makeup of the organization is going to change quite a bit. Some schools are staying, some schools are leaving. And our school was very much on the bubble of staying or going a new direction. So that came as quite a shocker. While I'm out hiking and doing this crazy adventure, I'm, all of a sudden it's, I leave for a few months and, everything kind of went, it took its own course.
Right.
So yeah, I came back to work in the middle of October in 2018. And, had to kind of throw together a ISST cross country meet as quickly as possible. And it all came to fruition nicely. But then it was the decision of, okay, is what's best for our school going forward? What's best for the stakeholders? What's best for the students and the families looking ahead long term? And Hillingdon's been in the ISST was in this ISST for over 40 years. And was one of the foundational schools, full member school, always hosted and fulfilled all the expectations to a high level. Credit to John Sergei for getting the school where it is. And then, I came in after he had been here for, I think, 35 years. And yeah, it was challenging at first, to be honest. People were fearful of, are we going to have international competition? And I just kept reassuring, absolutely. We're an international school. It's been part of the school's culture and history for a long time. And yes, we're going to have international competition. The main thing that I think was the ultimate player in us going a new direction was some of the new regulations that have come in that we need to adhere to based on what the UK government is suggesting. It's real tricky as far as the legalities of it, but how the ACS school organization interprets it is that we need to follow these specific guidelines to be compliant to house students. So we've always met our housing duties. We've always found beds for kids. That wasn't the issue. It's from going forward from that point, we were going to have to background check all of our families. And we actually have still done that a little bit for, we were going to host ISTA here this past April. And, for other various, kind of one-off things, they do the background check. But to do that, twice a year for big tournaments wasn't really going to be feasible long-term, I think. And, Hillingdon's a small school. We were always kind of bottom third or, middle of the pack Division II. Looking at going to a new conference, I think it was probably in the best interest of, as far as wins and losses and the successes we can have in tournaments, the competition might be better suited for us to go a new direction and have a fresh, clean start. So that's kind of how it went. The nice thing about it is that the schools that departed from the ISST linked up with some schools outside the ISST, and we started a new conference.
What's the new conference now?
So the new conference is called the International Schools Athletics Association, ISAA. We have 14 schools and 2 guest schools at the moment. And yeah, we successfully ran our first round of tournaments this past fall, and it went well. The main difference is that we're staying in hotels. Everything else is high quality tournaments, good people run the tournaments, good schools run the tournaments. And it was successful. A few growing pains, there's some things that we need to sort out as far as kind of the decision-making process, the governance, structures of tournaments, how we select all tournament teams and that kind of thing. But those are all things that can be ironed out because it's a very collegial group of people. And the nice thing about it is that we can make it our own. It's a fresh, clean slate. And, we have people that are kind of bought in for the long term, and we're going to continue to grow it.
Cool. Was that exciting, to be a part of the building of a conference? I think most of our schools have been in conferences, like you said, 30 years, 20 years. What's it like to be on the ground floor?
Yeah. It is exciting, and it's exciting to reassure and show our community that it was possible. A lot of people have these fears of change. I think we all experience that as administrators, and even, myself, I've been reluctant to change. I'm sure we've all faced that at some point. But yeah, absolutely. It was great. It's great to actually get that first round of tournaments under our belt and prove that we can do it. We didn't have any doubt, but there's always that element of uncertainty going into something new. But yeah, we pulled off to a high standard, excuse me. And our kids came back, having a great time. And we had some high placings for our kids. Some kids were in medal games, and we had some success. And, unfortunately, due to the current situation, we had to cancel all the winter, early spring tournaments and our spring tournaments last minute, which, is devastating for the kids. I couldn't imagine being in my final year, or any year really, but, your 12th grade year, and you don't get to go to your final tournament. It's just a real unfortunate thing for these kids, but hopefully they're better off and they're stronger for it, which is a very cliche thing to say.
Sure.
But yes, to answer your question, absolutely, yes, it was great. It was great to pull it off, and it is exciting. Yeah.
So Jett, with the starting up of this new league, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about the process. Like, how did it happen? How did the ADs come together? Or did it start out with some emails going back and forth? And what kind of led to the formalization of coming together to create this new association?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, I was away when this all started. And when I got back, I was quite uncertain about what was going to happen, which way we were going to go. But I was reassured that the good news is that the group of schools and athletic directors that have made a decision to leave the ISST, as it was in their best interests, were very keen on starting a new conference. So, big credit to Tom Archer at the British School of the Netherlands for grabbing the bull by the horns. And, he's the guy that, offered to host the first meeting, really kind of laid the groundwork as, outlining things, procedures going forward, how we can make this all happen. And then we kind of have we formed what we call the advisory committee, with 5 of us to get things going. So, lots of meetings, lots of planning. We still use a lot of the structures from the ISST, but we also incorporate, everyone's kind of views to be one cohesive unit. It's nothing too out of the ordinary from the other big European and, global international school sports conferences. We got someone to do up the handbook for us, which is, it's a working document. And, we're learning as we go, but it's nothing that we haven't done before, which is a good thing. It's just a few new schools that other schools haven't played against, which is nice. It's a fresh look. It's an opportunity to travel somewhere new, hopefully sooner rather than later. It doesn't look like it's happening in this year, but and then just meeting regularly, the planning, checking in, and the Doran in Israel as well. He took on the secretary role. Scott Fitzgerald in Cairo. Mark Butler did a lot of the safeguarding from TASIS. So just bringing all of our skill sets together to do the best possible job, by the kids ultimately.
Cool. I see that you're in this conference, and the other ACS school, Egham, is in the conference. And then the third, and not in any ranking, of course, but Cobham is also in the new conference. But Cobham stayed in ISST. But you guys are all linked. I think the same owner. Can you briefly tell us how Cobham kind of got to stay?
Yeah, I think Cobham has more flexibility because of their enrollment. and they have, I think they're triple the size of us. We're about anywhere from 560 to 590 on any given year. I think Cobham is up around between 13 and 1500, and they also have borders as well. So they have some more flexibility as to the amount of teams they can put out, and a benefit to their kids that some of the students that might not be able to travel for the ISST could travel to ISAA. So that's kind of how they base their decision. Egham's about the same size as us, so it's more practical for them to stay in one conference only. But yeah, for Cobham, that means they need to do the background checks for the housing and everything.
Right.
And credit to our organization. We have an HR department and the support to do that. But it's challenging. It's a lot to ask of the families. Most, if not all, the families are ready and willing to do that because they want to support their kids. They want to support the program. But it's just, do we want to make that an expectation at each individual campus? Is that something that we're going to ask? And that comes within each each school's, each school's decision, with the admin team and, the board of directors, steering the vision of the schools, Yeah.
You mentioned about the kids, all of our seniors who didn't have a last tournament. But going back to you guys leaving ISST, were there any, kids that have played in ISST for years and then now they can't play anymore? They can't go to that ISST. I mean, I know you quickly got a new opportunity for them, but what was it like with your student body and that happening to them?
Yeah, there were some grumbles. There's the normal kind of feedback that I would expect from it, but mostly people remained optimistic, and it was my job to reassure them of that, to give them that confidence that you are going to have opportunity to play in a high quality sports tournament in your chosen sport that you've done in the past. So we went right from the ISST into the new conference. So there was no tournament that we didn't get to go to that we normally would have gone to. It just has a different title on it. And, ultimately the kids all had great feedback after the first round last fall. We sent 5 teams abroad, hosted one here, and everyone came back with smiles on their face with a little bit of hardware as well. So it's always nice to see, hardware or not. It's not ultimately about that. It's great to win. That's a byproduct of success. But ultimately, you want everyone to go there, reap the rewards of success on the field of play, and make memories and be better off for it. So.
And this association, is it for high school only, or is there anything offered for middle school?
Yeah, so at the moment it's very similar to the ISST. It's varsity tournaments, but we have junior divisions in track and field swimming and cross country. We are looking to expand to JV tournaments eventually. I think right now is not the best time to do that. It was on the table for this next school year, but given that travel is going to be extremely limited, at least in the near future, that's probably on the back burner right now. But yeah, to answer your question, we do want to do JV tournaments. We have to be careful as well. We got to make sure that we don't get in too deep, that we don't have the facilities or the resources to do it. But we've looked at it closely, and the schools that are able to go to those tournaments and host are going to do that. So it might be more of like a one-off invitational as we get going, but we would like to develop at the JV level going forward.
I like you said about, it was your job, to reassure the kids and reassure that, hey, you're going to have something, it's really from the top, right? If you had a different attitude, or you were uncertain with them and, oh geez, I don't know if we're going to be able to play in the fall or have tournaments, it would have been a whole different, atmosphere at your school. I can imagine. Yeah.
I get these looks and these reactions, like, are we really? Are you sure, Mr. Russell? It's like, yes, this is going to happen. It's happening. So get ready, because it's going to be awesome, So, because they'll feed off your energy, especially the kids that are really into it. We have a lot of kids that are into sports, but there's the diehards, that that live for this stuff and really look forward to it. It's the highlight of their school year, going to these tournaments. So it felt good to be able to reassure them and offer them, a high quality tournament and experience that hopefully they'll remember for forever.
So going forward for the fall season, do you guys have plans, or what have you done in terms of planning for the fall season?
Yeah. So as far as international competition, everything's on hold. It's likely, based on our decision-making process and what we've seen other organizations doing, that we will not travel in the fall, but we're not going to say that for certain right now. We're going to make the call in August at our next meeting. But as far as locally, we're fortunate to be in the LSSA here, the London School Sports Association, which is a 6-school conference of international schools. And, in London, there's no shortage of schools and sports to compete in, which is great. However, we need to make sure that we are doing things the right way and have risk assessed everything and are following our schools and government guidelines on what we can and what we can't do. So at the moment, locally, everything is going to be intramural, and we have to be mindful of what sports we're going to do. Are we using transferable equipment? Is it on bare skin? If we do running, it needs to be kind of outside because indoors there's more air coming out, and the possibility to transfer coronavirus through hard breathing, I guess, and to transfer and to obtain it, your airways are opened up more. So these are all these little things that we're talking about. We never normally would have had to talk about. I'm sure you guys are having the same conversations where you are as well, and across Europe and the globe. So right now we're just kind of waiting for the next decision to be made. And we're hoping that with each decision that's made is that things loosen up and things improve. But we have to kind of be prepared for all fronts. But, intramural competition or just fitness is the plan for now. And if we can compete against other schools, we will certainly do that. Granted, it's, 100% safe for everybody.
Well, I think that's, you mentioned about what other conferences are doing. And I think that's one of the main things we want to do with our summer conference series and have some regional roundtables to talk about the fall, and not just to talk about within our conferences, but talk to those others, see what you're doing, see what they're doing there, and share all together, right? Because it's not just a problem for one country or one conference, right? It's everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. The more collaboration, the more communication about how we can do the best possible job, and ultimately get the kids the best possible experience based on what we can work with is what we need to do. Looking back on the winter tournaments, I think we as the ISA were kind of one of the last conferences, if not the last conference, to shut it down. But we saw the CISA, the ISST, NESIS all putting the brakes on and calling it off, and I think we're holding on for as long as possible. I think more so because we were new, and we really wanted to get those. I mean, I was coaching in one of the tournaments too, and my boys were varsity boys basketball. They're devastated to not go. So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned LSSA, and that'll take us right into our next thing we want to talk about, is because you guys actually had a spring event. You had a spring festival, albeit in a different manner than we're used to, but it seemed pretty successful, and maybe it's something that we'll all, look to do in the fall if we can't play normally. So can you kind of tell us about how that happened and how it was?
Yeah, absolutely. So just so everyone's clear, as much as I'd like to say that we were the driving force and the organizers of this event, we were not at Hillingdon. It was ASL. And Akai, the middle school AD there, and John Farmer, the AD, were the responsible gentlemen for putting that on. So, once again, thanks to those guys if they happen to listen to this. But they know how grateful everybody is for doing it. So, it was an online festival. They put together a website with all of the different events you can do, whether you're in middle school or high school. There were 12 schools involved. And I think, I got my notes here. We had 7 schools from London, 1 from Aberdeen. We had the International School Bangkok, St. John's in Belgium, International School Basel, and the American School of The Hague. So quite a lot of involvement. And basically the kids submitted their challenges. The submission of their challenges were done online based on what coaches posted for the kids to do. So based on your school size, you got a certain amount of points for an entry, and it was all weighted. They had a whole algorithm behind it. I'm not 100% how they did it. I'm not 100% sure how they did it, but there was a system to earning points. But just by submitting, you earn points for your school. So yeah, it was incredibly well organized. They made a great looking website. We put it out to our school community here, and just trying to get as many kids involved doing sport with what they could possibly do in their environments. The other one they had was a 100K challenge. So, you get a group of kids together, run 100K over 5 days and tally up your total kilometers and submit it. So yeah, it was all based on, what they thought the sports that could be offered, outdoors, springtime, for this festival. So yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to see. And then they did a closing festival video that they put together, and ways for your family to get involved as well.
And I like, because a lot of people were doing submissions or, PE teachers or sending challenges, but this was really then a competition, to other schools. Did your students really get into it? Like, we got to get higher than Egham, kind of a thing? Or
it's hard to say because, I never had any contact with, face-to-face contact with anybody. As wonderful as it was, I think we made the best of a challenging situation. I think I really did. I really, thought we did that to a high standard, but it's not the same. It's just not the same as being in person, for a final game of a basketball tournament or a football tournament or whatever the sport may be. It's just not the same energy and atmosphere. But, I think based on where we're at right now and, what they were able to pull off, it's, an incredible pat on the back for those guys for organizing ASL, and to all the schools for being a part of it. But yeah, we certainly had a high level of participation, and it was great to see our kids get involved to their best of their ability.
Was there any follow-up feedback from it, or like a survey that went out to the participating schools, or?
No, actually, but I know there's a lot of thank you emails going around, and a lot of praise for the organizers and for everybody that, put it out to their school community to get involved.
Yeah. I
definitely was jealous when I saw it, let's say, advertised, or just before it happened, that we weren't involved, because it seemed pretty cool, and I read on the website. I'll put the links to the website in the notes. But there were 5,609 submissions. I mean, that's definitely, kids liked it. If there was that many videos being uploaded, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, not just the kids, but also the coaches for stepping up and submitting the challenges online. I'm not trying to segue into giving myself credit, but I put up a few baseball things on there as well. And, I had to cringe at looking at myself on camera, but hey, it's for the kids. So
I was going to bring it up, Jett, but you beat me to it. But I did enjoy your videos. I watched a lot of them, of all of them, but yours was good. Make sure you're safe. You don't want to do this with anything around you, as you juggle on the bat. And, they were great.
I can see some kid, breaking some, some ancient piece of china or something on their mantelpiece falling off. Baseball going through the window or something. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, is there, if you can't do the normal in the fall, is there plans to have another one of those for LSSA schools?
Yeah, it hasn't been brought up yet, but I suspect we will cross that bridge when the time comes. We're still being optimistic that we're going to be able to do some inter-school, some league competitions.
Yep.
We've kind of got, everything's just on hold. We're going to go forward with our normal fall schedule if we can. If not, okay, we can do more online stuff. We can potentially do intramural competition in fitness types related stuff in the school. But I suspect, yes, if it comes to that by the end of the fall, we will probably look to do something online again. We've even thrown out the ideas of kids traveling to a cross-country course and running it separately, and then we compare times, or you run your own 5K at your own school, and then we compare times, but then you got the factors of the uphills and the weather conditions and grass, gravel, pavement, whatever it may be. So yeah, we have a very collaborative and intelligent group of people here in the LSSA, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure we put forth the best possible opportunity for sport.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's probably the best alternative you can come up with. And you guys have definitely set a good blueprint. So if there's any other associations out there who are interested in possibly doing something like this, we had discussions in our CISA group last month. We had our Zoom meeting, and that's a topic that came up more towards the activities end. Your typical activities like speech and debate or Knowledge Bowl. Is there some way that these can be sourced online? So that's another possibility that I know that the CISA group's looking into. But this definitely could be a framework we could go by if we wanted to look into something like this.
Yeah, definitely. We're in the age of
hopefully not.
Sorry?
Hopefully not, but it's there. It's great that the LSSA did that.
Yeah, and us being in this age of information and technology accessibility is crazy. I mean, it's crazy how fast things are accelerating, and the ability to do things with technology is just moving so fast. To be able to have that as an option is certainly an incredible bonus. But yeah, as you said, let's hope it's not. But if it comes to that, we're going to do it, and we're going to execute it again. And hopefully other schools and organizations globally can see what the guys at ASL organize and mirror that, or put their own twist on it. And just it's ultimately about getting the kids the sporting opportunities and getting them active. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jett, thanks for sharing about your school and the kind of culture change that you went through with the conference and starting a new conference, and obviously this cool festival. So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, guys, for having me on. And keep on doing your thing with this podcast, because it's great. As I said to start, this is important. This is important for education. It's important for sports. It's important for the global AD community to see that other people, share the same successes, face the same struggles, are in similar situations, and are also being progressive in an ever-changing kind of global community. So really glad you had me on. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you keep on pushing on with this podcast and see what more great things you do.
Yeah, thanks, Jett. Hopefully we'll see you this summer at the online conference we're going to have in July. So
yeah, absolutely looking forward to it.
Something to do, join us.
Well, we're just going to take a quick ad break, and then I'll come back and close us off with a summer conference series update. If your school is in the market for bespoke sportswear, look no further than Kukri Sports. Kukri has evolved over the last 20 years from a bespoke sportswear manufacturer into a true sportswear partner, firmly believing in the value of sport at all levels. Start your journey today. Email the team at contact@kukrisports.com.
Coach Evaluator is the premier coach evaluation software for schools and athletic organizations, and preferred coach evaluation solution of the NIAAA and the Positive Coaching Alliance. The system is completely customizable with an always growing evaluation template library for athletic directors to reference. There are not only evaluations for ADs to use, but also self-evaluations and parent-player evaluations of coaches. Learn more about digitizing and simplifying your coach evaluation process by visiting www.coachevaluator.com.
Okay, well, I hope all of you out there already know that we're hosting a summer conference series. It's going to be on July 8th and July 22nd, and there'll be basically shorter versions of our full conference, some amazing keynotes that we've already announced, and 2 more keynotes will be announced this week. So check our social media for those announcements. You definitely don't want to miss them. But of course, there'll be sessions led by ADs and coaches and people in our community as well, and some roundtables. The roundtables will have some different topics, but we want to have some really region-specific roundtables where people from different conferences in the same region can talk about maybe what their fall seasons are going to look like, if they're going to have fall seasons at all, and just how things are going in your region, because it definitely varies tremendously on where you are in the world. We've updated the website and made a summer conference series page, so if you haven't gone there, please do so, because everyone's going to have to register for the summer conference series. It's still free. The registration takes 2 seconds, first name, last name, email, but everyone who registers will then get the Zoom link for both days sent to them just before the day. We won't put the Zoom links publicly on the website. You'll have to register to get them. There you'll also find some the bios of the keynote speakers, and some of the AD coach-led sessions are already there. I'm updating it daily, so keep checking back. And I hope in about a week and a half, I'll be able to publish the whole schedule and get you all the times and everything you need. You'll also see on the website that we've partnered with ICMIC. We wanted to, give a little bit back, and tons of people have asked, hey, all this great PD and it's free. Can I do something as a thank you? So we decided to partner with them. There's a link to donate to them on our site. You can read a little bit more about them. And of course, if you haven't listened to the podcasts with Lori and Jordan, you definitely should do so. And the last thing I want to say before we close this episode off is that, ADs, anyone out there listening, share the website, share the conference, share the podcast with your coaches if you haven't done so. If you have a coach's newsletter, or you want to send them an email, wish them well for the summer before you all check out, pass the Globetrottin ADs on. As you know, lots of great resources, lots of great things there that are really applicable for coaches just like ADs. So help spread the word and help grow our community. Until next time.
Until next week, this has been another episode of the Globetrottin ADs.